I hope you have created your skeleton code for HTML file as we have created in our last videos. In this session, we will make our app or game look pretty and exactly like the final output, though it will still be the look and feel, as the app will still not work. App will start working when we add the JavaScript as in our later videos. Before we move further, let's understand what is the difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. When you're designing or developing a website, there are three different coding languages that you will want to be aware of, which are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You might be wondering what you can do with each programming language. With HTML, you will be able to create the structure of your website. CSS gives you the ability to make the website look more visually appealing. As for JavaScript, this is a robust programming language that allows you to effectively change the HTML and CSS components of your website to match your specifications precisely. If you own a website but don't know much about coding, knowing the difference between these three programming languages should help you better understand what goes into developing a website. If ever a problem occurs with a component of your site, having a clear idea of what these programming languages are may be enough to help you properly diagnose what is causing the problem and how to fix it. Now we are going to learn about linking the HTML and CSS files. An app does not look complete unless it is styled to the max. This is where CSS is very important with regards to the web page development. Without a good looking interface, your players or users will not have a feel good factor. So now we are going to create another file, that is style.css. That will be a style sheet. Now how will the browser know that you have to apply this style.css file to index.html file? That can be done by using a link tag that will link these two files. Link tag is included in the head tag. Then you can mention relationship with rel as a style sheet since we are linking to the style sheet. Also, the type of the file will be text slash css dot href is going to be the hyperlink reference as both these files are in same folder. We have to just say style.css and browser will take it from same file location. Finally, link is an empty tag, so we give a forward slash. This links our index.html file with CSS file in the link tag. Now we are going to learn about background setting and colors. Now we will start styling each element. With CSS, you can style every part of HTML page like heading, canvas, button, basically everything. To do so, you need to select the element first so that the browser knows which element you are styling. This is done by using CSS selectors, and there are multiple ways to select HTML elements. One of the common ways of doing so is by specifying the name of the element. So let's get a style.css file and let's refer to HTML element. When you are selecting the HTML element, you are selecting the whole page. HTML and the two curly braces. Inside this, we can specify the attributes of these elements. Let's start with background attribute. To set the color for the page as a whole, let's select Azura Hair as the background color and add a semicolon. Save it and see how it looks on the page. Now the page has got a light blue color. So let's understand what has HTML selector done. It has added color to the entire page, regardless of the content. Also, The color choices that you need to specify for the background color, you can look at Google and type CSS color. There is a range of color list that is available and you can choose from the same. You can also specify the hexadecimal code or the RGB values to specify the color that you want. You can also go to CSS Colors Wikipedia. So, as you can see, there are multiple options. So, if you place a hexadecimal value, let's look at the output. The color choices are pretty much endless and you can choose as per your likings. Now let's learn how to set the default styles and the default header. We are going to be using Universal Selector. This selector selects pretty much every single element in the HTML page. We will be using the selector for the default values. We will be using the start symbol as Universal Selector. When we select the start symbol, that means that you are selecting every element. Open and close the curly brace. We want to set a value of 0 to the margin and padding of the page. Depending upon the browser you will use to access the web page, browser will give some default padding and margin to every element. In CSS, a margin is the space around an element's border, while padding is the space between an element's border and the element's content. Put in another way, the margin property controls the space outside an element, and the padding property controls the space inside an element. In our CSS code, we will be setting the margin and padding value to be 0. If we let the browser use its own default styling, then our style might get affected based on each browser, which we do not want. Therefore, this will help our app look exactly as we want. Now, let's understand the main styling of the app. Let's first get styling for the header element of the page. We will use header selector for this. Then open and close the curly braces. We will use text align for the text to be centered. We also want the header to have decent enough spacing from the rest of the app as well as from the top of the page so that it appears separate from the game area. For this, we set the margin as 50 pixel with a line attribute. Here in CSS, we will have to specify pixel against 50 for the code to understand. Now we will get to the H1 heading. As we know, there are two headings in a web page. One is for the tic-tac-toe game by We the Demigods Motivational, and the other one is for the result. We know that ID are unique for HTML file and they can be used to differentiate which header we are styling now. We start with hash and specify that is head. Then open and close the curly braces. We specify the font size as 50px. We will also give a font family and set it as cursive as we want the cursive text. And finally, the text color as dark turquoise. For the first part, we are going to design result heading. We give a font size as 30 pixels, font family as Vardhana, and color as chocolate. Also, let's align the text to the center. Let's see how it looks now. Save this file and open index.html. As you might have noticed, there was an error as we did not add hashtag before the header. The moment we do that, CSS identifies the element and you can see the difference in index.html page. We will also add a bottom margin of 30 pixels to the results section, though this will not be visible on the web page yet. Now we have to design the canvases. In total, we have 9 canvases. Let's select the canvas element in our earlier code. We give an ID to each canvas, but all the canvases are going to have the same attribute. Syntax we are going to use is border hyphen pixel comma type and color. Type can be solid, dashed or double, and there are even more types. We are going to select type as solid, pixel as 1 pixel, as we do not want a thick border, and color as dark turquoise. We will also set the background as lemon sheriff, and finally text align as center. With this, we finish the canvas style. Now let's look at the output we got so far. So our canvas is finally visible after adding a border and background color. Alignment is still to be corrected as canvas is coming to the one side. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Do like, share and subscribe and continue to watch our AI series. Signing off for now, but do keep in tune.